Well, hello, everybody. Can you see my screen okay? Should say design to work.
Yes, it
Hopefully,
is.
all right, hopefully this is the session you were looking to be in. But hello, again, my name is Melissa McAtee. Thanks for spending your Friday morning with me. I know how busy the day is in the world of a business owner, so I really appreciate you carving out the time. Today, we're going to talk about the idea of design for work, I should say it in quotes, why every business is a creative process. And I first want to start by acknowledging something right off the bat. And that's when running a business, especially a small one, creativity, and again, I'm going to say that in quotes, can sound like a luxury, maybe even a little fluffy, or even a term to describe something that might otherwise be interpreted as too open or even disorganized. Maybe it sounds like something you do after the real work, after the sales calls, the invoices, the operations, all the stuff our businesses are made of, right? So what I've seen over the last 3 decades of work, I realize I'm aging myself, but in many different roles along the way, because I was doing a lot of things before I became a business owner. So actually in the time leading up to the time of owning a business, what I realized is that the way we solve problems, adapt, and make decisions is inherently creative. So we're not just running our businesses, we're actually designing how they work, whether we decide to call it that or not. So I just want to share a sort of an epiphany I had about 20 years ago after a layoff and before I launched into owning a business practice. I'm originally trained in design, specifically interior architecture and design. And like a lot of us, my professional role and title changed many times over the years. And as it turns out, for most of these roles, I wasn't literally a designer per se. I wasn't necessarily called a designer, but I've come to learn that regardless of my role, I'm always a designer at heart. And I think there's something about that that brings me comfort, because I think when we go through a lot of change, on our sometimes winding career paths, we can sort of hit points where we feel these sort of existential crises and are trying to remember who we are. And remembering this helps me to kind of reground myself in my work. So what I've realized is that I just need to have the creative freedom to feel alive in my work, and I've made professional choices to allow the space just for that. But of course, that was sort of unfolding in time, and it took a while for me to get there. Again, I know for a lot of business owners, creativity sounds optional. It's like a nice to have after the spreadsheets are done, et cetera. But when I'm saying creative today, I'm not talking about making things prettier. I'm talking about how we can solve problems, adapt when something's not working, and design better ways of doing business. So whether you run a coffee shop, a consultancy, construction company, you're already redesigning your business all the time, whether it's through pricing, policies, customer experience. So my goal in this session this morning is to give you a simple, repeatable, creative process you can use to make your changes more intentional, less chaotic, and hopefully more profitable, and maybe even a little fun. All right, very briefly about me, so you know who it is talking to you right now. My name is Melissa McAtee, and I am the co-founder and creative experience officer at elbē Interactive, a Chicago-based studio creating immersive digital experiences for museums, brands, and public spaces. If that sounds unfamiliar, it's basically the technology you interface with likely very regularly. Could be a touchscreen at a museum, an engagement in someone's booth at a trade show, or a wall of monitors in a building lobby. They might depict a calm forest floor with leaves and shafts of light, maybe a few drifting petals that softly swirl away from the silhouettes of those passing by. So it's activated. If all this sounds cool, it is, but it's not without a very winding path to get here, and certainly not where I thought I would end up 30 years after school. So my own career has been one long experiment, and one that I can safely say now is creative in itself. And as I shared earlier, I went to school originally for interior architecture, started out working in that field for a few design firms before pivoting into a faculty position at a 4-year design college, which ultimately evolved into an administrative role. And after 12 years at that college, I experienced a layoff, and kind of found myself at a big crossroads. I launched myself into a daunting interview process, which I had not done in many, many years. I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that feeling. I was in the process of looking for another job. I didn't know if that was going to be in design or in education. While I was in that process of interviewing, I was doing a lot of freelance to just make ends meet, which, funny enough, is what led me into solopreneurship, which evolved into a partnership. And it basically was a few years in when it finally occurred to me that I had been quietly designing my dream role all along without even knowing it. So there was a happy ending to the journey. So what does creative mean in business anyway? So I have some options up here. Let's see. Is it someone who can't look at a presentation slide or flyer without wanting to tweak it just a little bit? And I have to say I do suffer from that condition. Or is it something that mysteriously eats time and budget if you don't keep an eye on it? Maybe so. Maybe it's that word that gets used in meetings when no one wants to come out and say, we're not quite sure what we're doing yet. Or maybe it's that place where 10 half-finished ideas live and then go to die. But maybe it's just a process for improving your business. So yes, I can relate to all of these, but for today, we're going to focus on E, creative, being a process for improving your business. So a lot of you may hear creative and think, well, that's my designer, that's not me. But when I say creative today, again, I'm not talking about being artsy or making things pretty. I'm talking about the way we solve problems, test ideas, and improve how our business is run. I hope to give you a simple way of looking at how creativity can help you, whether it's making better decisions, reducing risk when trying something new, or creating a better experience for your customers. If you've changed your pricing in the last year, you've rewritten a follow-up email, or if you've adjusted how you onboard clients, you're already doing creative work. You're designing your business as you go, and I'm just hoping to give language and a process for doing that more intentionally. It's something we've actually officially finally adopted in our own studio after several years. So now I would love to hear from some of you. The first question being, I'm going to try to keep this short, but well, what is your name? And then what is the name of your business? And what does your business do? How does it serve others? What are you providing? And then what is an area you find yourself changing or visiting things a lot or over and over? It could have to do with pricing, marketing, how you work with clients, really anything at all. And I'd love to hear from a couple of you just to get a few ideas in the mix. Does anyone want to let's see. All right, we've got actually some entering some thoughts in the chat. Let's see. Okay, and you all can probably see this too. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
We have one person whose hand is up.
Oh, great. Kirk, I would love to hear from you. What do you have to share? Oh, I think you're muted.
Kurt, you're gonna have to unmute.
There we go. Okay, thank you. I didn't have the option at first. Thank you for that. Yes, my name is Kirk Fleming. My business is the People's Cart. We're focused on discount clothing in the southeast side, South Chicago neighborhood. We want to bring more like a former meal type feel over to the southeast side of Chicago. A lot of folks travel outside of the neighborhood to go shopping. Sometimes they even have to go up to Hammond, Indiana, to do small discount shopping. and I want to bring that comfortability to the southeast side, so where folks can feel comfortable in their own neighborhood shopping, where they can continue to spend money in their neighborhood, and also if I can employ some of the folks within the neighborhood. That's part of my vision and mission.
Well, that's amazing. First of all, thank you for sharing that. It sounds like you have a lot of naturally, you're really looking at a lot of different challenges or different ways that you'd like to sort of contribute to the community through your business. Is there one area specifically that you feel like you're looking at changing, or that you keep sort of circling back to, trying to find some resolution? I think you're muted again, Kirk.
Hey, can you hear me now? Okay, there we go. Yeah, so right now I'll have to say it will be the for me, inventory and the discount clothing. Knowing the different styles that the people like and need and want, right? Also knowing that there's maybe 3 buildings that I've been looking at in the South Chicago area that can really prosper. They they've been, one of them been abandoned for quite some time. I'm not sure what the issues are, but yeah, inventory, just the discount clothing is my challenge right now.
Yeah, that sounds like that would be a big one. I'm sure there's a lot to sort of consider relative to who your customer base is, and again, location, and there's just a lot of things to really examine when tackling that problem in itself. I'm just imagining. So hopefully some of what we talk about today will help you. It'll help give a lens for how you can maybe address some of those opportunities that you're seeing with your. And did you say this is an existing business, or you're starting it up?
Well, it's existing now.
Okay.
I have my peddler's license, so sometimes I do street vending, where I go out and table throughout the communities and just set up a table with different items that folks can purchase.
Okay. Great. Well,
And
thank you. Yeah.
also with that, I share different information with the residents, because for one, it's the people's cart.
Uh-huh.
And we are here for the people. So we share any upcoming resources and events that we have to share throughout the community from any businesses or organizations. So I'm partnering and collaborating with a lot of different organizations and businesses throughout the Southeast Side and South Chicago neighborhood,
Uh-huh.
just to keep myself and the community informed on the different opportunities, resources, and new developments that we have upcoming throughout the neighborhood.
Amazing. It sounds very collaborative and very inclusive. The perfect community organization and business, sounds to me like. So, well, congratulations. That's amazing. And again, some of these opportunities you've mentioned, I think we'll be able to look at under a specific process that we can apply today. So I look forward to that. Thank you again. Yeah. Anyone else want to share? Or otherwise, I might read a couple of what I'm finding in the chat, if that's okay. I'd love to hear your voice, though. And Kirk, I don't know if you saw, there's been a request, and I would love it too, actually, if you wouldn't mind sharing your contact info for your organization in the chat.
Sure, no problem.
Awesome. Let's see, I'm going to, if it's okay, I'm going to read what Bianca has shared. Hello, my name is Bianca, and my daycare is called Open Arms Family Daycare. The thing I find myself going back and forth with is marketing. Can totally relate to that. I want to serve working families that might have a hard time finding safe, affordable childcare that meets their work hours. I also want to provide a safe, nurturing environment for children to thrive and adapt social and emotional skills. Amazing. Yeah, not a short or small order. So I can appreciate everything here. That is that's really great. And again, I think one of the exercises we'll do today will help kind of get a little granular with some of the opportunities you're seeing here. All right, let me see if there's one more in here, just so we can get one more example. I'm just going to read, let's see, from Pooja, Yura or YURA. I'm not sure if it's an acronym or if it's pronounced Yura, but International, Yura International or YURA International is a modern accessories brand creating functional, stylish bags designed for everyday life, travel, and work, inspired by minimal design and real-world needs. Our mission is to design accessible, stylish accessories that help people carry life with confidence. Amazing. I hope that mission statement is somewhere on your website, because that's fantastic. Wow. Okay, lots of awesome introductions and short stories here. I'm going to continue on because, again, I'm asking this question for good reason, that we're going to apply some of what you're sharing to an actual exercise. So, but in the meantime, all these examples that you're sharing and that you're adding to the chat, they're what I would call designing your business as you go. You're trying things, you're seeing what happens, and you're adjusting. And that is what I would say is the creative process in action. But have you ever really thought of systemizing your approach? This is where we as a business arrived maybe a year ago, using simple steps that might help it feel less chaotic or clumsy and hopefully less exhausting or frustrating. Is this sounding relatable or familiar to anyone? I hope so. I hope I'm not the only one. So here's how I'd like to spend the rest of our time together. First, I'm going to walk you through a tried and tested creative process that you can use on almost any part of your business: proposals, hiring, marketing, operations. I'm going to share a couple examples from my own workplace and translate those into small, doable, what I call experience upgrades that you can make online or in person, depending on your specific business approach. Then we'll apply the steps to a real challenge or opportunity you find in your own business right here in this session. And with any time left, we'll share some of those findings. So I'm really excited about that. All right, so first of all, yes, let's see. Oh boy, did I skip a slide here? There we go. All right, sorry to skip around like that. What is the creative process? Let's define that a little bit. What I've discovered in the reinvention of the work we've done at elbē Interactive is that there are really 4 key steps. This is what we've boiled it down to. We have found 4 key steps that we can use in almost every part of our business, whether it's what we're offering to our clients, how you're pricing your product or service, how you communicate with your customers, or even how you run your team. So first step is we notice what's actually happening. Are leads dropping off? Are project deliverables always late at the same step each time? And then we start to imagine options. We brainstorm a few different ways we might address it. We test small, and that is key. Instead of a huge overhaul, because I think that's where a lot of us get stumped. I know that I personally do, where I feel very overwhelmed by marketing, as we've heard from another participant. That is a big one, I think, for a lot of us. And so what we have learned to do is really break that down and test out a few of the opportunities within marketing. So you might offer a new script, a mini offer, or a different follow-up email. It can be that small, but those little micro tests help to be building blocks for the larger opportunity at hand. And then the fourth step is keeping and systemizing. So if it works, if what you've tested, you find a good solution, you save it, you document it, you turn it into a process, a template, or a standard way of doing things. Where we've arrived, so we just had our 10th birthday this year, our 10th biziversary, as we call it. And we finally, in the last couple of years, started to compile an operations manual, which was a long time coming. That felt so daunting to me, but part of what has been added or included in that operations manual are some of these systemized processes we've come up with. So it's really an amazing investment all around because I always have to remind myself there might be a day when, you know, our company's still around, but I'm not for whatever reason. Maybe I'm on a tropical island somewhere. I want to make sure that these systems that we have found to be super inefficient are available, readily available for whoever needs them. So applying these 4 steps is really using creativity as a management tool. And yes, we have truly worked to apply this at our own office for our internal operations. And I'm going to go on to share an example of how something that might be relatable to those of you who have employees or contractors. And that's how we have learned to more effectively run our week as a team, as a group. So at LB Interactive, I'm excited and proud to share that we are truly in a growth season. We had a really tough few years during COVID, following COVID, and we're finally really in growth mode. And with that, you know, we're building our team while we're expanding our client reach. And along with that comes a whole new ways that we're approaching marketing, our project scheduling, our invoicing, just to make sure the cash flow is steady. It's all really exciting, but you may already know that there's that moment where the old way of working just starts to feel less or ineffective. And so we started to notice patterns. The days felt really full. They felt really inefficient. We were bouncing between tools and messages. Confusion grew between the team. Who is doing what? When is that step happening? Handoffs between team members sometimes involved a lot of back and forth just to get on the same page. None of this felt like a disaster per se, not usually anyway, but it was providing a signal. So we asked ourselves a very simple question: how do we keep our days feeling focused and manageable as we grow? And so we ran a 4-step process for our own operations. All right. So real world example number oh, so sorry. I'm looking at 2 slides simultaneously, which is not helpful. So our real world example number 1 is an internal creative process test. So with building our team, and again, our days feeling a little bit jumbled and inefficient, we noticed where we literally mapped out a typical day and week across the team. Where are we losing the time? Where are things feeling fuzzy? And we discovered a few friction points. We were jumping between tools more than we needed to. Mornings didn't always start with clear priorities. Some project handoffs were depending on long custom messages every single time. Very time consuming. So we then, as a team, we imagined our options. We brainstormed ways to smooth out what was dragging us down. Nothing fancy, just practical ideas like, what if we met weekly, had short morning check-ins so everyone starts on the same page? What if each active project had a clearly named owner? Because sometimes with a small team like we have, there's 5 full-time teammates in our office. It's sometimes unclear who's actually leading the process because there is a lot of overlap between our roles. What if we turned our repeated deliverables into simple templates instead of reinventing them each and every single time? And what if we blocked off a few deep work windows where internal interruptions are minimized? The third thing we did per our new process is we tested small. We didn't roll out a giant new system with a big speech. We just picked a few ideas and tested them over a few weeks. We landed on having a 10 to 15 minute morning team huddle every Monday and Thursday. Those were the ideal days for us, we discovered. We got a big giant whiteboard that we now share with our current weekly priorities. It's just sitting on casters in the middle of our studio. We can roll it around, keep it accessible and visible to everybody. We developed a couple templates for recurring deliverables like client update emails or just internal checklists for projects. And while we tested, we paid deep attention to things like, did the day feel clear? Were there fewer moments of, wait, who's working on this? And did we feel more in control in general, or just a little more on schedule? So finally, we applied that fourth step. We kept what worked and then we systemized it. So the pieces that genuinely helped, we kept. We kept the ones, we got rid of the ones that felt like noise or just like extra work. We let go of those. We wrote down our new default day and turned those templates into check-ins, we turned our templates and check-ins into standard habits for the studio and the team. The result isn't that we magically eliminated the chaos that can, occur in the day of a small business, because this is still real life, and so that still happens. But we do spend less time figuring out our priorities. Our handoffs are a lot smoother, and a lot fewer things are falling through the cracks. The best part is that everyone on the team feels ownership of the process and the improvements we've made, and that's super exciting. So we didn't just work harder, we designed a better way to work together, and that's something you can do with your own team, how big or small it is. Even if your team is just you and another person, you can apply the same process. Even if it's just you, honestly, you can apply this process. You can pick a part of your day that always feels hectic, run through some of these 4 steps, and turn it into something that supports you instead of drains you. So next example. So I also wanted to provide one that was a little more client-facing. So just to kind of give you a view into, what we do and how we would apply this process to our client work. So this next example, a little more specific to our office, is focused on the challenge of helping a client stand out at a trade show. So if you've ever had a booth or a table at an industry event, you know this feeling. You're paying a lot to be there and you're hoping more people do more than just walk past and grab a pen with your logo on it, right? So this particular client of ours was about to invest in a large trade show presence, and for the first time. So this was a big deal for them. They were worried about blending in with a lot of similar booths. They needed people to stop, understand, and engage. And it's worth sharing that the process I'm about to describe is actually an unusual process with our clients, because normally our clients will come to us with an activation in mind, or we will work with them to concept something. A lot of times we will partner when it comes to trade shows specifically with an exhibit house who has the booth relatively designed, but they need that booth draw moment, that digital activation experience. They may come to us and bring us in as part of the team to determine what that should be and design, develop, and install it. But this particular client, while normally clients come to us with the intention of hiring us for a digital activation, this client, who we'd been courting for a while, so we were investing time and building a relationship, they just needed a little bit more convincing. And so we included the following as part of our usual discovery process. And we did this in the very beginning of the project. That's where the discovery process happened. So our goal was create a digital activation that would slow people down, slow those attendees down just enough, one that would clearly communicate what makes the product unique, what sets up better, more qualified conversations between booth ambassadors and trade show guests. That's very often the goal that a business has when they invest money in a trade show booth or table. But we needed to convince this client that an activation would be the right investment, because in the end, it was going to be a lot more expensive than those branded pens. So we once again applied our 4-step process that really became an evidence-based rationale for our client. And of course, There's plenty of online research out there that captures a lot of what we shared with them, but this exercise was just the thing to help them feel like we were invested in what they cared about even more. So we noticed at a trade show that we were already attending, so we got a little creative. We set up camp and we reported how people were typically behaving on the showroom floor. We saw that most booths, honestly, they felt similar, and the interactions were either shallow or they were too intense, and there was nothing in between. We imagined options and we brainstormed multiple concepts. We created a quick interactive demo, a simple game using key product features that our client wanted. We developed a guided story using visuals and touch, and we evaluated all of it against budget, timeline, and what mattered most to the client. Then we tested small. Again, small is the key here. We prototyped small pieces, not the full experience, just small pieces. We tested language, timing, and interaction flow with a handful of people, just a few user tested. And we asked, where do the attendees light up? Where do they struggle or drift away? Both are equally important. And then we kept and we systemized. So we simplified steps and we focused on a few core benefits, just a few. We built a clear handoff moment to our client, a concept for an activation. And the best part is that our activation was installed, and we turned it into a repeatable approach for similar events when clients asked, and it's much faster this way. Again, this was a very unique opportunity for us, and it was an investment, but worth it. And in the end, with the specific activation we designed for this client, more people stopped at the booth, visitors spent longer time engaging with the experience, sales conversations started from a place of understanding and not confusion, and our client walked away with a reusable approach for future events. And I just want to note the images in the slide are from a trade show activation that we worked on a few months ago for John Deere. So that's actually one of our projects. So, all right, it's your turn. I want to see how this process can help you in your business. I'd like for you to think of a challenge where you're experiencing a challenge that you're experiencing, or we can call it an opportunity today while managing your business, something that's felt a little out of control or drives you crazy or just needs a little refining. And write down, if you can, record it somewhere, document it, that one sentence challenge. And for those of you who are having a difficult time determining a challenge of your own, let me know, because I have, just put it in the chat. If that is the case, I have an example that you can use. I just don't want to overwhelm with too much information here. And I'm just watching the chat. I'm also kind of reading through here to see if there's any fun nuggets to share. Oh, it sounds like everyone is not at a loss for thinking of some opportunities to apply this process. Well, while some of you are sharing it in the chat, and I would love for some of you to speak to this in a bit, but what you can use as an example if you're feeling stumped, I know some of you mentioned you aren't to the point of actually establishing your business yet, so you may not really can't anticipate what those opportunities or challenges are going to be. Let's come up with a hypothetical. So let's say your business, it could be a salon, a wellness center, a fitness center, it could be a restaurant, any kind of retail. For whatever reason, you notice this pattern where people find you initially, they visit once, and then they might disappear. They don't rebook the appointment, they don't come back, they don't buy a second time. You're getting attention, but not the conversion or repeat business that's very critical for our businesses to survive. So that is an example, a hypothetical of what you can use to apply this lens if you're kind of at a loss of how you want to, if you don't have something from your own business, you can, think of right away. And again, I'm just circling back to the chat here. So, unless there's anyone that would like to share aloud, what I'd like to do, and while you're working on this, I might just kind of keep talking through some of what you're sharing here. I'd like for you to go ahead and apply the 4-step creative process to whatever challenge or opportunity you've thought of. So it's step 1, remember you notice what's actually happening right now. And step 2, and for your answers, for responses, some prompts that might help is where and when does it show up and how do you know it's a problem? What actually makes this a problem or a challenge or an opportunity? Step 2, imagine those options. What are 3 ways you can change this? Step 3, what's the smallest, test small, again, small, very key. What's the smallest, lowest risk way to try one option? What does a tiny version of this test look like? And when do you start and how long are you going to test? Those are also things that are really helpful to kind of figure out up front, or at least anticipate. All right. And then step 4, we want to keep and systemize what's working. So if it works, how do you make this your new normal? So real quick, what I would like you to do, again, if you're not doing it already, apply these 4 steps, because I really want to hear from some of you about how you might use this lens and how it might be helpful to your own business. But while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the example I provided about the lack of repeat customers and kind of talk through what those steps might look like, because it might help to just ignite a thought for you with your own specific scenarios. So the first one, again, we're talking about a lack of repeat customers. And the prompt, the thing you're going to ask yourself in the notice step is, we're getting first-time interest, but it's not turning into a second step, whatever that is. So ask yourself, where are they dropping off? Is it after a first visit? Is it after an inquiry? Is it after a free consult or after a first purchase? Ask yourself those questions. That's going to be super helpful. And then when we go to imagining options, and what are 3 ways you could change this? 3 is just like a good minimum number to use. A clear what to do next after that first interaction might be a simple follow-up message or a thank you email. It might be a small incentive for the second visit or a next purchase. It might be a better first-time customer experience using more effective signage, onboarding, or just expectations. A starter offer that makes the second step easier. So those are ways you might apply step 2, imagining options. Hopefully this is helpful. The third step, testing small. What's the smallest, lowest risk way to do one of these options? So again, what does the tiny version of this test look like? So for our hypothetical, for the next 10 new customers, we're going to send a 24-hour follow-up that thanks them, shows them what's next, and makes it easy to do, incentivizes for them to get back there and buy the thing or experience the thing. And then finally, step 4, keeping and systemizing what makes sense. If it works, how will you make it your new normal? So if a test helps even a little, you're going to turn it into a template or an automatic step, make it part of your standard flow, and keep tracking a repeat rate every month, every week, whatever makes sense for your business. If it doesn't work, what did you learn? What's the next option you'll test? So with that, again, I would love to hear your beautiful voices. I'm going to wait to see if anyone wants to put their hand up and share with us. It makes me feel less alone to hear from some of you, but if I don't get any hands, I'll go ahead and read some of what you've shared in the chat.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, hello.
Good morning. Could you ask the question again, please?
Oh, sure. The question is, I'm just going to go back to the top here, is just kind of identifying, if you don't mind, share your name, your business, what your business does, and a certain challenge or opportunity that you're identifying, and how you might overlay this 4-step process to help resolve or find success in that opportunity.
Absolutely, thank you. So my name is Shamir. People call me Shami. I have a organization that we throw events. Uh, our organization right now is called Midwest Mudfest, but we're going to be renaming it to Zigmoth. We do event production, and initially we just do special events, one-time events at venues and bars, but now I am seeing that there is a problem in the mixer dating thing. Everyone thinks that dating right now is a nightmare, whether through the apps or even meeting people. And I think it's exacerbated by capitalism.
Mhm.
So one of the things I'm trying to do that I really want to do is I want to re-engage the idea of how to create an incredible mixer that people will come to, but it being reasonably priced and also being extremely enjoyable and people get loose. So I notice, right? So going through the 4 key steps, I notice the problem. I notice where's the missed opportunity. People want to connect, but people don't want to go speed dating. People don't want to do that. So I have been imagining a lot of different options, like where do people mix and mingle? Like they mix and mingle at house parties, they mix and mingle at weddings and corporate events. What do all those things have in common? Is it the booze? Is it the fact that they all know each other? Is it, but you can go to these places and not, people go to bars, obviously. So like what are the key elements of those things and how can I absorb all of those elements to create a repeatable pattern? Test
Mhm.
small is something that I was very excited about because the idea now is like, okay, um, I want to go to a bar where I can get a reasonable rate and I want to try some techniques. To
Mhm.
very, very, very quickly say this, me and my partner tried to do a bar crawl because we do these huge events which like 400 500 people, so we're like, oh, let's do a bar crawl because we thought it would be simple, we thought it would be easy, and it blew up like the Heisenberg. It was just did not work. So imagining options, I also am doing research because the more that you know, the more that it opens your imagination. Test small to see what will work, to see what things does work in this mixer thing, and then what does work, keep and systemize, and then what doesn't work, try it again, try to renew it, and hopefully it'll grow from there. So thank you
Yeah,
for
that's,
letting me share.
oh my goodness, thank you so much. That's perfect. Should have had you do the presentation.
Oh, that's
Hey,
very kind
Shani,
of
if you ever need an activation, give us a call.
Absolutely.
I just
Absolutely.
I see here Jordan Brown has an event space, Hairpin Art Center. Just a heads up. Sounds like you two should get in touch. So
Absolutely. I'll leave my email in the chat.
awesome. Thank you so much. It looks like Kirk has something to share here.
Yes, I do. So my challenge that I'm facing right now is that I'm carrying a vision bigger than the system around me right now, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to build a business that can be more than just a business. It can be a foundation to open doors to other families.
Mm-hmm.
A brand that can be proud to be presented by any person throughout the United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to, my uh, this is a really good, great question. I'm sorry. My challenge is, trying to build this community movement that can be moved throughout the United States.
Wow.
A real financial foundation that can help uh, with generational wealth, that can help lead legacy for children's. But, while I'm doing this, I'm still fighting personal battles, daily pressures, limited resources, consistent obstacles,
Mm-hmm.
like money blocks, time blocks, system blocks, and the people not showing up how they should, but in due time, they will, like
Yeah,
they say, if you build it, they will come in
absolutely.
due time. I'm sorry, because it's the ability of the hustle and the vision
Mm-hmm.
that I'm trying to bring to life right
Yeah.
now.
Yes.
Yeah,
And that's a big that is a big, beautiful undertaking. So I would and the fact that you just, shared this idea that you want to have this go nationally and have a presence, across the country and bring this this energy and joy in these different ways to these different communities is amazing, and it's exactly what we need. But it's also that is a very, that's like your big picture goal. And I'm wondering how, and you may not have gotten, and that's the reason for this exercise is how can we break that down into chunks? So again, even starting with noticing something about needing to address something in your inventory. So what I would probably, I mean, because I'm constantly, I don't know if I sound like I'm very confident in this process. I hope so, but at the same time, I'm going to be totally transparent. It's really, really hard to discipline myself to focus on that small test because, of course, we want to solve all the problems at once. We want to have all the answers to our cash flow, getting all the, those clients we want to work with. We want to hire in the best talent. We want to get the perfect marketing out there to be able to do all the things, and it's just absolutely impossible, and is going to end up putting us in fetal position, sucking our thumb, just out of total like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. And this is exactly why I feel personally why a lot of small businesses just don't make it after, I think the statistic is 2 years. There's a very high percentage of burnout or just the inability to continue on with the business because of some of the things that we all totally understand as business owners or soon to be as business owners. So I would, if I could just give that word of advice, just take that amazing, beautiful goal and just chop it up into some of these smaller observations, and then break those observations down into, look at one, what are some options? Take one of those options, test it. Does it work? Yes, systemize it. If it doesn't work, go to another option. And that's really, I think, the way that we can make it all feel more realistic and just, more digestible and doable in our day. But I appreciate so much what you've shared, Kirk. I'm super excited for you. Did you put your contact info in the chat?
yes, I did.
Okay. I'll have to save this later for sure. But thank you so much. Was there anything else you wanted to add or have a question about before? I just want to get a couple more. What was that?
Well, you have your hand up.
Oh, who does?
I said, you have 2 more people who have their hands up.
Okay, that's, what, Kirk, we can circle back in the end. I think we're going to have enough time to really focus in on some of these challenges we're coming up with. So if you don't mind, we'll hear from a couple other folks and then we can circle back. All right, Adele.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, my name is Adele Massim. Basically, I'm a restaurant owner. It's a French and African restaurant. I mean, we just celebrate 4 years on the October 26th.
Okay. Wow.
So it's been hard, been very, very
Oh my God.
difficult. One thing I will say is getting better, but not where I want to be. Not where I want to be because I'm trying everything because it's a big space. I do rent it for some people. They rent it for the birthday party. We did a wedding. We did quinceañera. We did so many things just to try to get some money coming in. But
Sure.
the customer come, but it's not as much. I signed up on Uber Eats, Grubhub, all things you can imagine. Sometimes you go there, you only have like 2 customers per day on Uber Eats. I don't know what to do anymore. And I'm getting so frustrated. It's challenging because you hire staff and you gotta let them go because they come and sit there, they have nothing to do.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
been very, 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 very hard.
Uh-huh.
It's I don't know, but I'm keep trying, keep trying. Some people even come, okay, I want to start using your hall for maybe like once a month to do my private event. I said, okay, no problem. And then they disappear.
Oh,
I'm going to so many things, I don't know what to do.
oh,
It's hard.
oh, it's so hard. Did you say you just opened October 26th?
No. We celebrate 4 years on October 26th.
Oh, got it. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've been doing this for several years, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 years now, yeah.
Yeah. And I get it's so hard where to know to draw the line with some of these, kind of pivots just to get people interested in our work.
Mhm.
Just like the investment we made with our client where they were like, well, can you prove to us that an activation is, it's like, well, this is what we do. So I would hope that it works because we wouldn't be trying to sell it every day. But we had to kind of go through that courtship, that process of convincing them. And that's kind of a different, just a different way of looking at the same sort of challenge, that you're having, getting people repeat customers and the idea that you're offering your space for different events. I mean, it makes total sense. You're not only hopefully making a little bit of money on those events, but I imagine it's the idea of spreading awareness, providing some exposure, right? So that's one of can I ask, is your business making money on those types of events, or has that just been more work than?
To be honest, when we do have people that rent it, we make money. But the thing is, I have a tavern license, which I will say I use like 20% each month because we don't have enough customers even coming to the bar because we have a full bar. It's very hard. It's hard.
Yeah. Is there, I think for you, it feels like, I mean, gosh, I wish we could talk forever about that. I love talking about all this stuff, but I wonder if it sounds like there's like in Kirk's situation or in his case, there's like that you're still looking at that big picture, keeping this sustainable is hard. Okay. So I can 100% relate to that. So again, I think the way that I know I bring calm to that sort of constant voice in my head is, this is so hard. Why am I doing this? I should just go and get a job again. Is I have to break it down to what are, even like the 4 major things I'm trying to tackle. And then I pick one of those. And then, I mean, a lot of times it's just by default. It's something that needs to be addressed right away, right? It's like, I mean, that's just the reality. But if there's the luxury of any time, then I really try to make it an exercise to sit with this exercise every week and then give time to marketing, to hiring, to, how do we get our business name out there more and more? What do we do different with our marketing and that kind of thing? So, and I'm curious, one thing you might, I'm wondering if you've already looked at is, can I ask, is your restaurant, is it accessible by car, public transit? Like, is there?
Yeah. We are the Main Street on Belmont and Central. And
Okay.
we also have parking. One thing is kind of funny because we have 200 parking space. Somebody can park. You don't have to pay for parking. So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I'm just thinking because some of those, I know those can be obstacles for restaurants or any kind of B2C. Could be a retail restaurant, bar, what have you. So just thinking through like getting super granular, like, okay, well, it doesn't sound like parking's an issue for you, but if it was an issue, what are ways that we can make it really easy for customers to, is it a blurb on your website, describing where the tricks to finding easy parking or that kind of thing. But yeah, I totally appreciate what you're sharing. And I wish we could wave the magic wand today, but mainly I just want to get everyone's head in the space of kind of thinking through their business opportunities and challenges with this process. And hopefully it helps. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think we had someone with their hand up. Caress?
I was like, I came that fast. So I was a little late to the conversation, but based upon what I'm hearing and what you all are speaking about with challenges that you may be facing within business, I don't want to say I don't have a business because I do, in my opinion, but I'm in the startup phases. So right now, I consider myself just like a pop-up vendor. That's usually how I bring attention to my brand. But it started out as just like, I was making and selling like all natural body care products, but I never wanted it to be solely about me. Like I've always wanted to be able to sell other people's items as well, mostly like women founded businesses that were like handmade goods. And so right now I'm just like, given like the steps, I'm thinking like test small. Well, I have family members that make things as well. So I'm trying to figure out like how to approach them like, hey, do I like wholesale some items from them or like, I'll pay for a few things and maybe sell it while I'm at these pop-ups and things of that nature. But I'm also looking like how to even structure that. Like, is that considered like cooperative or non-for-profit or yeah, so I'm just kind of torn, and the name is like Sahura Botanica, but then the products that I make is called auras, so I confuse people sometimes because they're like, is it this or is it that? And I'm like, well, Sahura Botanica is where I sell my products, but the goal is to sell other people's products as well. So yeah.
Are you looking to have a storefront at some point, or is it a online?
Well, right now I'm like on Etsy. I would like to have a storefront, a brick and mortar, but I'm like kind of apprehensive because a lot of people speak about how brick and mortars, aren't really making any money. And, I don't know if I want to take on something that big, but I do see a lot of people now that have like these studios or just businesses where they're allowing people to rent out space within the venue, and you're not that responsible for for like I guess what am I trying to say? The responsibility still falls on the individual. So if you have a brand, you can, rent out a shelf in my place of business that way. So I'm still putting it all together, but I would love in my mind, I would love to have a brick and mortar. I think that would be great in my own space, but I'm just a little afraid.
Yeah, I was going to ask, you already mentioned it, but my first question to you was, have you looked at, pop-up opportunities? Because I always feel like that's a really great way to get your product out there.
Yeah, I do a lot of vending, so.
Yeah, that's great. So since you're in the start, your sort of things that you're taking notice of are again startup phase, but I think the same process. If I don't know, there's a million books on this kind of thing. This is just our tried and true process that we use internally. There's certainly is not trademarked. It's not, I'm not an expert on this. It's just something that I have noticed has worked well for our business. And really more recently, it took us many years to get to this, but if I had done something like this in the beginning, I really feel like our business would be much more successful now. So I would say definitely spend the time, kind of noting, using this 4-step process, looking at, what are the things you need to address to kind of get that momentum, and then working your way all the way through something that can be systemized and then kind of repeating it. So, but that's really amazing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing. I saw someone here. Oh gosh, there's so many wonderful comments in here, and someone, oh yeah, Janelle, would love to collaborate. Janelle Price would love to collaborate. So anyway, I love everyone making connections in the chat. if everyone could maybe put your contact info in here, that would be really great. But all right, well, thank you so much. And again, if we have a little time in the end, we can circle back to some of these challenges we're having more specifically. So anyone else with their hand up? All right, I'm thinking no, I'm just going to read one or two from the chat real quick again, just so we can get a good range of what people are tackling. Let's see. A lot of responses to what you've shared, all of you have shared here, which is great. Oh my gosh, let me just find. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these, just the challenges people are mentioning: website activity, marketing, how to get a 501c3. I mean, that in itself, that feels like, oh, that's one task, but it's really not. It's looking at, going online, doing that research, possibly hiring an attorney, understanding the expense and doing what you need to make sure you have those funds. I mean, there's a lot of different little things to notice within that one challenge. So that's kind of what I'm getting at, that it's every opportunity has several other opportunities within, for better or worse. So I guess my next question is, or not really a question, but a reminder that this 4-step process is repeatable, because even a good change, even an effective change, is going to prompt new needs, right? It's just going to it's going to be something that just has forward momentum and maybe even like a circular pattern all the time. And so maybe after you apply the 4 steps to one area, you find a new friction shows up to something else. So as we wrap up, at least, my portion of it, I want to hear from more of you. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with 3 closing thoughts. First, we like it or not, we're more creative than we sometimes think we are. I feel like the word creative sometimes, as I mentioned earlier in my presentation, can get a bad rap. But every time we change an offer, tweak a process, or adjust how we talk to customers, we're designing our business or even redesigning our business. Secondly, creativity doesn't have to be chaotic or messy. We treat it like a process. Notice what's happening, imagine the options, test something small, and keep and systemize what works. And third, lastly, start small. I can't say that enough, and start soon. Don't push it off. One focused experiment in the next, say, 7 days is worth more than the perfect plan that you will never get to. So. And with that, again, we have time for questions or additional thoughts, but I want to thank you for spending this time with me. Congrats on all of you for the ways that you are quietly designing a new business or your current business. You're designing how your businesses work every day. So yes, with that, if there's any additional questions or thoughts that you'd like to share, I would love to hear from you. And I think everyone else here would as well. So, and also I just want to mention, my contact info is here. Again, this is not, what we're talking about today is not necessarily part of what I do for, well, outside of our business or in our business. I do it for our business. So I guess that would make me maybe an expert relative to our business, but not even, because we're constantly reapplying the process. But if any of you want to stay in touch, you can find me on LinkedIn. My company, elbē Interactive, is listed here with our website if you want to check out some of our immersive experiences just for fun. And then there is my email as well. So thank you so much. Let's see, anyone want to chime in with some thoughts? If you want to raise your hand. Yeah, it looks like a lot of you are looking for resources, which I totally understand. I don't know what we ever did without the internet. I mean, there was a long time I was working before the internet was a thing, and I don't know how we got anything done. So at least we have that working for us. But I find what's overwhelming about that is there are, you can go into a rabbit hole. I will say more recently, I have been leaning a lot on ChatGPT to help synthesize a lot of the information out there. of course, we all know we can't, that's not foolproof, but it is a way to help get me started. So I would not hesitate to, even with some of these ideas that are trickling in that feel overwhelming, pop it into chat, see what chat has to say. There might be some amazing resources that it points you to. So I can't say enough about that tool. It's been a game changer for sure. Okay, and Nell asked, do you have recommendations for how to start your own business? So, you know, I feel like for a lot of us, and not for everyone, but for myself, it was kind of a circumstantial, where I was laid off from my job. And then I, again, was at a crossroads. I was doing a lot of interviewing. Nothing was panning out. And then through getting involved in a lot of freelance work, I sort of started establishing a client base. And then at some point, someone said to me, why don't you just call this something and, you know, make it official and do your paperwork and you're a business. And I did do that with the kind of project work I was doing at the time. And then actually, funny enough, one of my clients, so I was helping small businesses and mostly creative type businesses with a lot of operational back end stuff. For businesses that couldn't necessarily hire a full-time operations person, I was sort of coming in and helping them with, sometimes they were one-off projects and sometimes it was more of like a steady part-time arrangement over many months. But one of my clients, who was building mobile apps at the time, he had a partner. I helped kind of put some systems in place for them, did a little bit of project management. And that collaboration actually grew into the business we have now, which is we turned the mobile app design and development into, you know, physical environmental activation. So, you know, I never in a million years had the desire to start a business, never ever. I was very happily employed for 20 years before going on my own. I also, you know, was raised in a household with parents who had steady jobs. And I think that was, you know, much more the norm back in the 70s and 80s. They thought it was super insane that I would even think to go out on my own. I am very blessed to have an incredible business partner who also happens to be my husband. So there's a lot of shop talk in my house, but it's been a gift. It's also been very, very hard. But I will tell you, going back to your original question, I'm sorry, I'm kind of going off on tangents here. There are so many resources for startups. And there's so many, I can't even name them all, but I'm going to tell you, SCORE, I'm afraid to say, I don't even know if they are super active now because they were, I believe, federally funded, but they were an incredible, if they're not able to help you in a lining type or a similar type of organizations, not-for-profit, volunteer, retired CEOs that would mentor you through that process. So that's where I went when I first started my business. Again, I'm not sure they're around. Maybe someone here knows. All right, Jordan's saying they've heard great things about SCORE. Okay, SCORE is still active. They charge a small fee now. That's the difference. I'm glad to hear that. Another incredible resource. This is actually specifically for women. So not to leave the men out, but the WBDC, the Women's Business Development Center, incredible resource for the startup phase and established phase. They have incredible classes you can take. They are all mostly sponsored. They also have an amount of, you know, grants and they ask for donations, whatever people can give, but they're an incredible resource as well. I'm looking at some of what you've noted in the chat. Your Chamber of Commerce. Great suggestion. Absolutely an incredible resource. There's a Chicago Chamber of Commerce. There are the neighborhood chambers of commerce. I would maybe even start with that. Let's see. Okay. What else here? There's a lot of amazing contact info and a lot of asking to collaborate. I'm loving it. So make sure you're saving this chat. Everyone needs to save this chat. All right. Anything else? Any other questions or business challenges that you want to?
You have someone who has their hand up.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi.
Hey, how's it going? So I have a company called Digital World Bridge, and at first we were web development, but now we do a little bit more. We also advertise those websites to get, more individuals seeing the website and ultimately getting more customers or products sold for our clients.
Mhm.
However, it's the more I've added of services, I've had issues with like onboarding, especially now we're also adding AI optimization sprinkled around our systems. So my question to you is, I know you talked about how you want to test small. So right now
Yeah.
with onboarding, I'm doing a lot of like Slack communications, and sometimes it's fine challenging for some of my clients that might not be too tech savvy. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking about developing an app so we can do onboarding. So I
Mhm.
was wondering if you have any suggestions or I guess anything that you could kind of help me trying to test small, because my first thought is we just put everything on the app, the customer journey, the onboarding, offboarding. So what's a good way to implement that strategy if I wanted to transition to an app rather than the Slack communications and all that?
Yeah. No, I totally appreciate that challenge. My first question is, so you're thinking of actually coming up with a custom app for the onboarding
Correct.
that would be a little bit more user friendly. And
Yes.
are your challenges in how that would look? Is it finding a developer? Is it what are some of those challenges? What just
Yeah,
kind
so I can do a little bit of both in front end and back end. So I guess the main challenge is to see if it actually would be better for individuals to, because right now there's multiple ways to deploy an app. You can either do it where you download an app off a website, or you could pay money for Android or Apple to have it on their app store. But
uh-huh.
they got to make sure that the app meets certain criteria to be allowed. So it's multiple ways of doing it. My I guess um, a reasoning behind the testing is, do you think an app would make things a lot easier rather than Slack communication, or am I overthinking it and might make it a
Yeah.
lot harder?
Yeah, I mean that's so I have a couple thoughts. One is you know, if you're worried about a client base that might not be too tech savvy, I wonder if the app would be any less challenging for them. But I think probably, I assume what you're thinking is designing an app in a way that might be able to be more user friendly for the demographic that you're working with, or at least be more accessible to everyone who might be using this onboarding tool. Am I right about that?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Simplifying it as much as I can, because sometimes even trying to get an individual or a client to download the Slack and then, just open that communication channel can
Uh-huh.
sometimes be challenging. But like I said, I think an app would be a lot user friendly. And then the main goal, obviously, I think you nailed it, would be making it as simple as I can to
Yeah.
have the
I,
individual give me
yeah.
data, things I need for the project.
Yeah, so it sounds like that's a big, so you've already noticed, oh, okay, there's going to be some users who may not be super, tech savvy enough to even use something like Slack. What can you do? And I think technology is always going to be, for what you're doing, it's going to make sense. So
Mhm.
if it's designing and developing something that's a little bit more simplified, whatever that means, maybe starting with like a focus group of some sort. A lot of times, we do a lot of prototyping that
Mhm.
can look different to different types of businesses, but it's like coming up with a really inexpensive, a model. It's not a permanent tool, but something that, just getting an idea of how people would use it. It could be
Right.
paper. Honestly, it's like, where are they looking on the screen? How are they approaching the buttons? I mean, that's literally the stuff we have to do all the time with our applications for trade shows, museums, so that's a very familiar experience. We've not broken it down to like that level where we're using paper necessarily, but we do,
Mm.
on a larger scale, we will design, the basics of the app. We'll have user testers come in all the time. We tap our 11-year-old daughter and her friends, because a lot of these museum apps are multi-generational. We'll have, this different community members, other business owners in the area. So I really think user testing through a type of focus group could be super, super helpful, because doing something like an app, that's going to be an expense. So you really want to make sure, even asking the questions, maybe just surveying an amount of people to get, a sense of how they feel about an app versus another onboarding approach, or how they feel about Slack, how they feel about the existing tools that are out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, but that's very exciting.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. And another just a quick follow-up question. So, do you guys at your company, is that something you could potentially help me with, as far as like having a test group and seeing how it would work, or is that a little bit?
Yeah, well, at the very least, I'd love to brainstorm it with you, and then and we can, I can sort of think through with more time other ways that we've done something slightly similar and figure out how to, help pull that group together for you. And then you said you have, or you are familiar with back end and front end, or you have someone you're working with, or.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm familiar with it. So
Okay.
I could most likely do it all myself. If I do run into some, bottlenecks, I might outsource more experienced developer, but for the most part, I'm pretty confident that I can definitely do it.
Okay. I was going to say too, a lot of times when folks are looking for, a website or an app, and there's just not a lot of funds in the beginning, there are so many really incredible groups out there, even student groups, college groups of students who are experienced enough in application development that they can help do something really on the cheap. So but it sounds like you don't necessarily have that issue. So
Yeah,
yeah, but thank you so much, Raul. I appreciate
yeah,
everything you've shared, and congratulations to you, and definitely stay in touch. I did see that someone,
sounds good. Thank you.
oh yes, thank you. Noted, yeah, the hyperlinks have unfortunately are broken on my slides. I am going to put my, oops, I'm going to put my email in the chat in case anyone is interested in reaching out. Well, I guess it doesn't really help you either, but anyway. Okay. And then our website is there too for anyone who wants to check out some of our creations. Anything else? Is there anyone else with their hand up? I see a couple questions about is there a recording? I believe there is. I think those are usually sent out after the presentation. Is that correct? Does anyone know? I'm going to type a question here. Someone just asked, by the way, the name of that women's small business support center. It's the Women's Business Development Group. No, not group. WBDC, Women's Business Development. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking out. How is that? Oh my gosh.
Business Development Center.
Center. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. My goodness. It's Friday. Thank goodness. Okay. We have confirmation recordings are sent if the speaker agrees, which I did. And it will be sent to everyone. So, wow, I hope that, gosh, then I hope this was useful. It's been a joy meeting some of you, getting to know some of your businesses. I never ceases to amaze me how much cool stuff's going on in our city. I love it so much. And hopefully I would love to connect with some of you. So please reach out, link in with me, and definitely stay in touch. And that's all I have.
The BAC Entrepreneur Certificate Program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You will receive credit for today's webinar. Today's webinar was recorded and will be available on our YouTube page at youtube.com/Chicago BACP. Again, that's youtube.com/Chicago BACP. Thank you for attending this morning and have a great weekend.
Thanks, everyone.